What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bardo, coming at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. I hope you guys had a really good weekend. A lot going on, a lot to get to. My emotion is tempered a little bit today because I've got some tragic news to kind of start the show. Former Michigan State player Adrelan Payne dies in a shooting last night. The information is a little scarce right now. It appears that he was at a residence. It wasn't a club. I think it was a residence. He was shot and killed, and the person that supposedly shot him, they've got his name, they've got everything. He waited at the scene of the crime. So I don't know whether it was a misunderstanding. It was an argument that may have been alcohol induced or drug. I don't know. But it's terribly sad that Adrelan Payne has left us due to a gunshot wound or several gunshot wounds. If you remember, Adrelan Payne, while he was at Michigan State, befriended this 8-year-old girl named Ashley, who was going through serious bout with cancer, and he befriended her, became a national news, and it really shed light on the young man's character. So it hurts my heart that Adrelan Payne was killed last night, 31 years old in Orlando. I'm hoping that more details come out, but it's a tragic situation. Whenever you see a young person like that, my son is 30 years old. So when I see Adrelan Payne at 31 being killed, that kind of hits my heart a little bit closer. Even with him being a little brother in the Big Ten, it also kind of, hits home a little close because my oldest is right around that age. And I would be devastated right now if I were to lose him unexpectedly. So my heart and prayers go out to Adrelan Payne and his family. May you find rest and peace during this time of trauma and mourning. And, let's wrap our arms around our young people and, try to keep them from these situations. I'm not sure exactly what we could do under this scenario, but, I wanted to pay homage to this young man because I got to know him briefly when I was covering him. I didn't have a deep relationship with the young man, but he was always very, very engaging, looking in the eye. He was thoughtful with his responses. He wasn't pushing the play button like a lot of players do when they're talking to the media. So Adrelan Payne gone at age 31. And our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the Michigan State community and family for their loss. Let's move on. Lynn Holly, how you doing? I hope you had a great Mother's Day. Wisco, what's going on? What's up, Jay Hood? Kenny Williams, Whitney Kyles, Igrower, Krobotowitz. I hope I said that right. Thanks for joining. We got past that. All right. So let's go to the NBA for a little bit. There's a story after yesterday's game about Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns, his family being harassed. This is getting old, ladies and gentlemen. This is getting old. I'm not sure why people think that they can mess with people's families. IG, you can't see it. Tony is throwing up the video when Chris Paul was trying to get at that young man who there was one report where it said there was some unwanted hugs. And then I saw a guy on Twitter who's in my business. I'm not going to call him out. I really want to. I want to smack the crap out of him for trying to make light of the situation. But there's a guy in my industry that is all on Twitter today talking about unwanted hugs. Now, if your mother or wife, if you're a man and your mother or wife are being approached by a stranger that's trying to put hands on them and they don't want to be hugged, is that not harassment? Is that something to be made fun of? And so I'm really disappointed with some of the people in sports media, because I have a feeling this has a racial tinge to it. Because if it was Tom Brady's mother and wife, I don't think you'd be seeing people make fun of the situation on Twitter. Right? Chris Paul, I don't care what level of player he is. Nobody has a right to put their hands on anybody else, period. And so, my thing is, y'all understand that I'm old school. So I would take, if to keep this from happening again, it would be nice if they were to let a retiring NBA guy who's going out the door take a fan that did that back to the woodshed and whoop their ass, point blank. Film it, video it, and throw it up. Block out the player, but show the fan getting his head pummeled. And then blast that on social media. And then we'll see the response of, fans that want to act like they can put their hands on people's family members. It's really unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. And you can tell I'm visibly upset by this, because there's a frequency of this happening. And then when reputable sports members, hey, what's up, John Rothstein? That's my man. John is one of the most reputable people in the business, and John knows who I'm referring to when I'm talking about this. When people in the sports media make light of these situations, and fans see that, then in the back of their mind, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously, it gives them license to act out or to act a certain way. So I don't like this. I think the NBA needs to be very strong-handed with how they deal with these fans, because what's going to happen, I don't know if you guys remember. You remember Antonio Davis? And I'm not sure he was still with the Indiana Pacers at the time. He might have been with the Chicago Bulls, maybe. But Anthony Davis, his wife, Antonio Davis, not Anthony. Excuse me for the mistake there. Antonio Davis's wife, he felt was in an altercation. Antonio left the floor, went up in the stands. And so, and I remember the coverage where it was such a big deal that an NBA player left the floor. So for people in my industry to try to say, well, a player shouldn't do that, or a player shouldn't leave the court or the field to protect their wife. Think about that for a second. Or let me talk to you fathers that are listening, the men that are listening to this broadcast. If you have a daughter and someone were to go to put their hands on your daughter or to verbally abuse your daughter in a situation, do you think you're going to care about the rules of the NBA or the NFL or the governing body that's over the sport? No, you're going to protect your family. So here's a quote from Chris Paul on Twitter this morning that I saw. Okay, thank you, Jay Hood. He was with the Knicks at the time, and it happened in Chicago, referring to Antonio Davis. Here's a quote. This is Chris Paul's tweet this morning on Twitter. Want to find players for saying stuff to the fans, but the fans can put their hands on our family? F that. And he didn't say F that. He spelled the word out. Okay? So Chris Paul has been I think he was the head of the Players Association for years. He's going to be a Hall of Fame point guard. If he's going on Twitter and expressing his feelings like that, he's upset. He's upset, and rightfully so. Dory Melman Pesrio, what's up, Dory? As a Mavs fan, I find this appalling and pleased the Mavericks escorted him out. Hope he is banned from attending future games. No place for this in sports. Dory, I can't agree more. And here's the thing. It sounds elementary. It sounds too lax. Keep that up there, Tone. I'm just going to make a point real quick. You know how they have PSAs when you walk in the building? Remember when COVID was going around and it was really bad, and there were PSAs to wash your hands for 20 seconds. Make sure you clean your hands and wipe your hands down. The NBA and all these sports or leagues need to have PSAs over the loudspeakers as fans are coming into the venue. They need to say it between innings, between quarters, and between halves. They need to repeat it. If you put your hands on anybody in this venue, you will be banned for life. And whatever you paid for your tickets is not getting refunded. That needs to be a PSA that is blasted out at every level in the United States. I saw a guy pull out a gun at a youth basketball tournament a couple weeks ago. And my business partner's family was at that event. Luckily got out, but there was a stampede to get out. So if we've got fans putting their hands on players' family members, we've got people at youth sporting events pulling out guns. Thank goodness the gun jammed and people were able to get out, but people got hurt in the stampede. If that's where we are in today's society, then it's incumbent upon the leagues at the NCAA level, at the professional level, at the high school level, at the youth level, to put out these PSAs. Because this behavior, like Dory said, is unacceptable. Don Green, players are still fully human, including black players, and of course, they're going to react accordingly when their loved ones are being harassed. Don and Dory are tribe members. If you guys want to join the inner group that is BARDO'S Breakdown. Thank you for that, Don. Good to see you. Happy Mother's Day to you and Dory. And happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you were treated like the queens that you all are. So I want to hear what you guys think about this and what can be done. What do you think can be done? Oh, okay, Kenny Williams got a good one, as he always does. Find the host team for incidents and it will stop. Ooh-wee. I'm going to say that again. Kenny Williams, former University of Illinois Chicago great, is the color analyst for the Flames, says that the host team, so it would be the Dallas Mavericks this time, the host team would get fined for incidents and it will stop. Because when you follow the money, everything makes sense. Kenny, that's the best. That is the best idea I think I've seen around this particular idea. Robert Mitchell said that's a great idea, Kenny. I agree, because I'm just there has to be something done from the league and the franchise level, that they've got to get this under control and they've got to come down swiftly on these violations. Gailey Tucker, what's going on? Al and Alan Powell show. Good to see you, man. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that, because that's going to be interesting. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, we had 3 women that tried to come on the court during the Minnesota-Memphis first round Western Conference series. There were 3 women that were arrested. One tried to super glue herself to the court. Another lady chained herself to the basket stanchion and threw out pamphlets. And another lady was tackled and drove to the ground by a security guard at another game. And they were protesting, I believe it was Glenn Taylor's poultry farm, that I don't know if they did kill millions of chickens because of the avian bird flu or whatnot. They were protesting. But this behavior where we have these open arenas and open stadiums and people pay a ticket and they feel like they can do anything they want, that's got to stop. Although it's hard to stay calm, players, coaches, and officials must rely on the venue to act and file charges against the people behaving like this during events, says TEIO Prep. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Let's Toast Media. That's not going to stop. Alcohol will be sold still. That brings friendly trash talk until someone gets mad. Now, that's a good point. Let's Talk Media. Let's Toast Media, excuse me. Let's Toast Media. Let me say this again. I think they're referring to the fan activity. That's not going to stop. alcohol will still be sold that brings friendly trash talk until someone gets mad. That's a good point. But again, let's toast media and TEIO prep. The players aren't drinking. They're not drinking. They're competing. And so they're of a clear mind, a headspace. Even though they're in battle, they're still clearer than the fans because the fans have an emotional investment in the team that they're rooting for. So that there's already a sense of rationale may not be there. That's what fans is short for fanaticals. So I don't know if I agree. Fines don't hurt as much as draft picks, says Greg Boysall. Now, Greg, that's taking it even a step further. Now, that's interesting. Fines don't hurt as much as draft picks. Woo. Greg Boysall, former Fighting Illini football great, comes with some knowledge right there. That's strong. That's a good one, Greg. That'd be interesting. And you know what? If those franchise owners put that edict in at the NBA level, woo, those NBA franchises would be hot as fish grease. Oh, they'd be upset. But if draft picks were involved and they couldn't handle their unruly fans, oh man. See, ladies and gentlemen, that's why I love my tribe. That's why I love my community. Because we have intelligent discussion here. And these are things that need to be discussed at the league level. Someone at the league level needs to make this swift and severe. And you talk about swift and severe, taking away draft picks because you're unruly fans. Oh man, between Greg Boysall and Kenny Williams, I think we might have a solution to this issue. I love that. Well done. Well done. Kimberly Taylor, good to see you, Kimberly. Thanks for joining. So we'll move on from the Chris Paul situation, but you can see I was a little hot by that because I don't like sports media personalities making light of those situations, because if your family, if your daughter was in that situation, or your wife or your mother was in that situation, and someone's making fun of not unwanted hugs in parentheses, come on, man, be above that. Be better than that. We're supposed to be better than that. All right, let's move on. This is all going to be NIL related. So the NCAA has come out with some guidelines around, let me pull this up, around the latest NIL. NIL has become so much of a problem that the NCAA has acted in record time. The NCAA doesn't do anything quickly, but they did this quickly. So here are the guidelines for what the Division I Board of Governors at the NCAA came up with. Specifically, the guidance defines as a booster any third-party entity that promotes an athletics program, assists with recruiting, or assists with providing benefits to recruits, enrolled student athletes, or their family members. The definition could include collectives set up to funnel name, image, and likeness deals to prospective student athletes or enrolled student athletes who might be considering transferring. Now, did that make sense to anybody? I'll try to read. I'm going to read this again. The guidance defines as a booster any third-party entity that promotes an athletics program, assists with recruiting, or assists with providing benefits to recruits, enrolled student athletes, or their family members. The definition could include collectives, which has been the catchphrase for a lot of collectives that are being formed around these university programs to funnel donor money to pay for name, image, and likeness, right? So the definition could include collectives set up to funnel name, image, and likeness deals to prospective student athletes or enrolled student athletes who might be considering transferring. The reason I think the NCAA acted so quickly, remember last week we talked about Miami guard Isaiah Wong, and it got out that he threatened Miami to leave because there is an incoming player, Nigel Pack, a transfer from Kansas State, that got a bigger NIL deal than Isaiah Wong had, and he took his team to the Elite Eight. Kansas State didn't get to the tournament. And this kid is leaving Kansas State, coming to Miami, and he's got a bigger deal than Isaiah Wong, who's an all ACC guard. So Isaiah Wong threatens to leave. That's a huge black eye on the Miami program and on the NCAA in general around this NIL. So all of a sudden, all of these things are moving. All of these parts are moving. Okay. So the guidance is aimed at removing boosters from the recruiting process. The NCAA had years, ladies and gentlemen, to come up with this legislation and guidelines. And what's happening lately is that they're getting sued. They're losing a lot of lawsuits. And I believe I saw one prominent AD. What's up, Brandon Gobble72? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. I saw one prominent Power 5 athletic director say, yes, we will probably get lawsuits, but we've got to do something. So on the heels of this legislation, this happened after this athletic director got fired last week, right? Darren Boatwright, the athletic director at Wichita State University, gets fired by the university president, ladies and gentlemen, because he did not adequately set up Wichita State University to be competitive in the name, image, and likeness space. Think about this for a second. So the city of Wichita, Kansas, has the largest private company in the United States, the Koch brothers company. I think it's Koch Enterprises. They've got the largest private company in the United States, Koch Enterprises. The men's and women's basketball venue is called the Koch Arena. So there's already, there's been consistent dialogue, activity, monies exchanged between the Wichita State University program and Koch Enterprises. Now, I'm going to add something else to the picture. Wichita, Kansas, ladies and gentlemen, you might not know this. Wichita, Kansas is the aviation center of the country. So there's a lot of airline companies that have a presence in Wichita, Kansas. I would venture to say, because one, it's a bigger city, there's more industry there. Wichita, Kansas has more potential money or donors than Lawrence, Kansas. Right? And we know that Lawrence, Kansas they get after it. They raise money. They have to compete at the highest level. They just brought home a national championship. So Wichita State fires their AD because he has not been able or been quick enough to set up NIL collectives that Wichita State can take advantage of. Can you put Michael Payne's quote back up? In other words, NCAA is attempting to regulate who players can get NIL deals from. Thank you, Michael Payne. Thank you. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. They want to know parts of this. The NCAA want to know parts of this. Then they said, okay, we're not going to have a pay-for-play scheme. We're not going to do that. And as soon as NIL came up, that's exactly what's been happening. That's exactly what's been happening. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will more than likely, may not be every week. Tina Strong, what's good, Tina? Good to see you. B Houston 34, what's happening? We may not talk about NIL every Monday, but it seems like this is going to be ever evolving, and the nature of the NCAA's swiftness, their quickness to respond to this situation has been the quickest I've ever seen the NCAA respond to anything. So think about this. Think of what Michael Payne just said. In other words, The NCAA is attempting to regulate who players get NIL deals from. Think about this. I'm going to put something else on your mind. These programs, the NCAA, don't have to come out of their pockets for anything. This is all outside money. These programs don't have to fuel this and take money out of their programs to fuel these initiatives. That's not what happens. But what's happening is some schools are getting their butts kicked in recruiting. And so now the playing field is not level. But when there were illegal gifts and money thrown around, oh, it was all cool then, right? It was good then, right? I mean, yeah, I love my man. He's my man. He's one of my favorite people in the business. But the NCAA is they're gonna enforce this, and they still got cats that were on a wiretap that, did well in the NCAA championship, and that was years ago. Help me out, Tribe. What year was it that the FBI came and said that they're going to turn college basketball on its head? What year was that? Wasn't that about three or 4 years ago? And they haven't been able to enforce everybody that was involved in that situation, right? They haven't been able to enforce that. And here's a clip, guys, I want you to listen to. This is from Jay Billis. Tony, can you put that clip up? And I'm going to see if I can get my iPad close enough so that my IG people can hear this, because you guys want to hear this. Jay Billis was speaking to Kevin Garnett about NIL and what it means to college basketball, what Jay Billis thinks about it. And the reason I love this clip is because Jay Billis has a law background. Okay. And so he can put it in words that everyone can understand.
What is your take on the NIL? Is it working? Do you like it? Are you against it? Are you for it?
I'm for players getting their fair market value. I don't think any person especially in a multi-billion-dollar business should be limited in any way. No other person, no other student, nobody is limited like a college athlete.
Wow.
And to me, that's unfair to the point of being immoral. Wait a minute, is it rational that college campuses are running a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry? Because if that's rational, then it's completely rational to pay a player his or her fair market value. That's completely rational.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of a mental hurdle everybody's having to get over.
Wow.
And they will get over it because this business is not going away.
So I hope my people on IG heard what Jay Billis was saying. And he says that the thing that I really loved about that clip, ladies and gentlemen, was that Jay said, is it rational that a university is running a multi-billion-dollar entertainment enterprise? I'm going to say that again. Let this sink in, because his words can pierce through the propaganda that most of us have heard for decades, that we've allowed to seep in to our minds and think that it's okay. Universities are running a multi-billion-dollar entertainment enterprise. So where does free education come into that? There is no free education. The only people that get free education is that the people who get true scholarships, where they don't have to do anything but go to school. This notion that you get free education when you get a college scholarship to play at a university, there's nothing free about that education. You're making money for the entertainment arm of the university. So Jay Billis, thank you for putting that in a terminology in a way that hopefully can get people to think. Lynn Holly says these colleges have been profiting off these kids for years. It's time these players cash in too. No doubt. No doubt. So I wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to get that out because I think that the terminology and the way that we talk about these things, I want to shed a little bit different light than is being talked about in the broader scale. Here on BARDO'S Breakdown, we try to go a little bit deeper, try to give you a little bit different perspective to consider. And so have you ever heard of the entertainment industry, an entertainment enterprise connected to a university? I'm not, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And so, you know, the fact that, you know what, Mike Henry, I read the book. It is deep. It's deep. Let me throw this up here. So Mike Henry, tribe member, University of Iowa, great. Highly recommend the book Black Market by Merle Code. He was one of the shoe company reps charged in the FBI case you mentioned. He tells the story from the picture inside, and it's amazing the coaches that didn't get charged. Yes, it is, Mike. Yes, it is. I encourage you guys to go read that book because Merle Code I know Merle well. We were about the same age, played in college around the same time. He's got a fascinating book, and it will really, it illuminates the business on the inside. And when you read his book, or I listen to it because I'm an audiobook dude, when you listen to it, you'll get very good insight on what's going on. It will make you go back and consider certain programs and situations that you looked at and you thought, it doesn't seem right, but you kept going. You didn't delve into it further. But that's a great call, Mike Henry. Thank you very much. All right. So got my man, my executive producer, Tony Gill. Come on, Tony, jump in, man. What you got for me?
Oh, man. I just have one quick thing about the new NCAA installment of the rule. Now, reading through it, I kind of agree a little bit that there needs to be at least some regulation about what's going on. And here's the reason why. Up to this point, I haven't read that there was any just kind of review of who was giving the kids money, right? So if anything that I've learned so far during the pandemic about people, coming up with shell companies to get, free money, what if there was a shady character, a shady individual started up a shell company, say, hey, this company is sponsoring this player. Mm-hmm. Now that player is beholden to whatever that company is deeming them to in order to get that money. So I do think that there needs to be at least some review of who is giving this money to the students. Another example, what if a casino or a gambling company wanted to invest in a player, right? Or a smaller gambling company, right? Where they need to, hey, could you do something? Like, you just don't want to muck up those waters in the wild west of the NIL. So I think some regulation needed to happen, a vetting process, if you will, of the businesses that are trying to give money to the athletes, at least, a review board. So not just anybody can, give a student money or give or start up a random shell company and give them money. So that's kind of like my devil's advocate argument for some regulation. But I do, for the most part, agree that kids should be able to get money. And I would even go as far as the schools, I think, should be able or should have to pay their student athletes. They're kind of getting away still with not paying students. So I think the next level of this is a little bit more regulation. But also I do believe that the school should be paying these student athletes. So there's still going to be a lot of things to work around and work through the NIL. Right now it's a bit of the wild west where kind of anything goes up until this ruling came down by the NCAA today.
Tony, those are great points, and I appreciate you jumping in and sharing that perspective. Again, I'll go back to help me out, tribe. Y'all know where I'm going with this. UCLA, John Wooten Air. I think I mentioned this last week. There, Sam Goody, was that the booster that was responsible for getting all the players to UCLA during their title run? So while Tony makes an excellent point, they're in an ideal situation, there needs to be a vetting process. But Tony, let me play devil's advocate here. When there was rampant improper benefits, because it's been rampant in college football and basketball, there was no vetting process there because it was done illegally. It was done all under the table. Now the NIL is bringing things on the table. Everything's becoming transparent. But now we got a problem with it because it's transparent now. And some of these older coaches that are bowing out early are getting their asses kicked on the recruiting trail. That's what it is. That's it. So now we got a problem because everything's on the table. And it's so a situation like, I threw this in there, ladies and gentlemen, that an athletic director was fired because the school president did not think he was properly prepared to have Wichita State compete in an NIL marketplace. Think about that for a second. So the NIL, to me, is cleaning up college athletics to a certain extent. There's no need for improper benefits anymore. There's no need for secret payments. There's no need for the NCAA to use their dwindling enforcement resources to focus on improper benefits when now they can monitor the NIL situation. So I don't know. I'm at my wit's end. And you know what? The business is not going away. Jay Billis said that in later on in the clip. This college athletics ain't going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. And so we're going through a process where we're having to adjust our expectations and our thought processes around this. Because if I'm Darren Boatwright, and I'm not trying to start no stuff, but I'm just thinking, if I'm Darren Boatwright, is that a legal firing? Is that legal? Because it's subjected to the university president thinking that they're not particularly placed well for NIL success. That's really a reach to me, because this is really the first full period of time that these NIL measures are really kicking in. This is the first time. The season, ladies and gentlemen, it's May 9th. The season ended 5 weeks ago. National championship was only 5 weeks ago. And so the NIL thing, I don't know. It's fascinating to me. But the fact that people are crying wolf when now there's no need to slip stuff under the table or funnel stuff through a car dealer or a private equity firm. There's no need to do that anymore. Everything is NIL. It's on the table. Let me see here. Paul Cooper says people are just fearful right now that their prospective teams won't be able to come up with money. I think it will all even things out and give better parity than just the blue bloods getting all the top recruits. Paul, that's an interesting statement. And thank you for joining. Andrew Eisfeld. This is good. Foreign students are not eligible for NIL because of their work visa. Come on now. Really? I wasn't aware of that. Andrew, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. If that is indeed the case, that's pretty bad. Sam Gilbert. Thank you, Mike Henry. Sam Gilbert was the booster at UCLA that was funneling the money to all these players that they got. So, yeah, Andrew, I'm going to look that up, but thank you for bringing that point up. That's very interesting because that, again, if that's the case, come on now. why would foreign players not be able to get NIL money because of a work visa? Really? I mean, and let me say this. Let me say this. What's up, Laura? Good to see you. Fugazi, what's happening? Oh, wow. Kenny Williams says starts with regulating the lower levels as well. AAU is the dirty little secret where these companies in college coerce recruiting. He's right. And you know what, Kenny, it would be interesting to see what they would do with the AAU situation, because that is really where Mike Henry was quoting Black Code, where Merle Code's book. He really goes in depth about that AAU situation and how things are set up and how players are trying to be encouraged to go to this shoe company schools or this shoe company schools. Is very fascinating. So, Kenny, that's a great point as usual.
Stephen,
to
answer your question about the foreign students, yeah, that is correct. Foreign students, as of right now, there haven't been any rules because the Biden administration, and again, this is not politics, it's just facts. They haven't given an interpretation of what the NIL rule is. So for foreign players, they are allowed to come over to the United States to play basketball under a student visa, not a work visa. So there hasn't been a rule in place that would allow them to change their visa status to benefit from the NIL. So they can't get any money. The foreign player kind of got lost in the shuffle here because of the hurriedness and the readiness of the rule without proper. And I get it. We had to speed things up. We had to do all this. And I'm getting my information from the Niskin Center.org, who did they did an article about the foreign player not being able to cash in because of their student visa not being able to change it to a work visa.
Oh man, that's spot on, Tony. Thank you so much. So Andrew Eisfeld, there you go. Laura is an athletic director, and she says immigration visa only allows campus employment. So there you have it. So thank you, Tony. Thank you, Andrew Eisfeld. Thank you, Laura, for that very key piece of information. And I really appreciate that. So as Tony said, it's an ever evolving situation and things are moving so quickly, but it just I don't know. It's fascinating to me. And I just hope that things can work out to the benefit of the athletes that are participating in a multi-billion-dollar entertainment enterprise that places of higher education are running. So let that sink in for a little bit. Let me see if I got any more responses. Then I'll get up out of here because I think the games are coming up pretty quickly. They'll get paid in the closed door meeting for students. Carol Popoquet says, or heard a player like Deion Thomas who was accused of taking $80,000 in a vehicle, but only did it hurt him. It didn't only hurt him, but a lot of other people. If we had the NIL, this would not have happened. Poor Jimmy Collins more than likely would have been the next coach after Coach Henson. Carol makes a great point. Those that are University of Illinois fans, if you're old enough, or you're Big Ten fans, you know the situation that Carol is referring to. Deion Thomas, coming in as an incoming freshman to Illinois, was ruled ineligible because he was accused of taking $80,000 and a car from, I believe, Bruce Pearl was the one that blew the whistle on the University of Illinois for these accusations. I don't know if they were ever proven, but the university was under probation. And like Carol said, it really hurt Jimmy Collins' ability in the eyes of the University of Illinois Champaign for him to become the next coach because of the stain of the supposed violations. So that's a great point, Carol. Thank you so much. So yeah, there you have it. So yeah, this was we had a lot to get to. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you guys. You're so knowledgeable. You're passionate about these things, and I really appreciate it. I hope I don't become overbearing too much. I like to set up the topic and then let the discussion roll. I like big ups to Tony Gill, my executive producer, for coming in and sharing those really important points that really round out this discussion. So that'll do it for this edition of BARDO'S Breakdown. If you want to be a part of the tribe, text me 312-847-2739 or go to BARDO'S Breakdown group on Facebook. Join the group. I think we're at 1,350 right now, 1,350 people and growing. Hope you can join. Thanks so much for joining. Enjoy the NBA playoffs. I'll come to you during the week if there's something that needs to be discussed. Later on in the week, though, I might go silent because I might be going somewhere. So I'll let you know. Love y'all. Take care. And once again, happy belated Mother's Day to all you mothers. We love you all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.